And then we start the podcast. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lucky Paper Radio. My name is Andy. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Anthony Four Eyes Maddox.
Wow, low blow just coming at me for my wearing glasses.
Did you get mocked as a child for wearing glasses?
Probably.
As I say it now, it feels like such a preposterous thing. I mean, obviously,
kids are mean.
Obviously, children not known, especially child bullies, not known for their logic and reason. But so many people have glasses. It seems like such a trope in movies that people would mock people for having glasses, but I'm not sure I don't have glasses, but I don't think I ever witnessed that when I was a kid.
Couldn't tell you.
You could tell me if you have been mocked for having glasses.
So far in the past.
I bring that up because I went to the eye doctor for the first time as an adult. I only have the one eyes I have. I think my vision's quite good.
You have two eyes.
Thank you. I think my vision's quite good. I can often see things that my bespectacled peers cannot see, even when they're wearing their glasses, which makes me think my vision's pretty okay. But I'd never been to an eye doctor, and people have been telling me, like, oh, you gotta go anyway, because I gotta check your eyes for cancer or whatever, even if your vision's good.
And glaucoma.
So I finally went to an eye doctor as an adult, and the eye doctor told me that I had some of the best eyes he's seen in his entire career.
Wow.
And they were, quote, perfect.
That's incredible.
Perfect eyes. What can I say?
I went recently and my prescription hasn't changed, which I think that's a win in itself.
You're not backsliding any further?
I'm not getting worse.
I've kind of always wanted glasses a little bit.
You could just do it.
No, I don't have it in me to wear fashion glasses. And no disrespect to anybody listening that does wear fashion glasses with just like unprescription glass in the lenses, but I can't bring myself to do it.
What if you wore the glasses that turn your vision upside down?
No. Now I do think about those glasses a lot. Yeah, we shouldn't talk about that. That's a whole... That could be a bonus episode, maybe. We should do that for a bonus episode.
Yeah.
Freak our bean.
Oh, actually, like, do the thing.
Do the thing.
Oh, man.
Do the thing.
Pick a week. So, you're going on vacation? Yeah, sort of.
Vacation from being normal.
Anyway, sign up for the Patreon to hear us do that, I guess.
Yeah. So... This is a draft-along episode of the show. We do these every once in a while where we draft along with the Cube. We have two different styles of draft-along episode. In one, you and I draft separately, and then we compare notes afterwards together. So we draft independently on our own, and then we give our listeners the seed of that draft so they can do the same. And in the other one, which is what this episode is, we are going to draft this live together. So we're going to be talking about a full draft. We're going to do it of my most recent Cube, Take 5, which has been talked about in the podcast a bit lately. And Anthony's played, I think, as many times as I have, to be honest.
Twice. I've done 2 drafts.
I might have played it 3 times, but not many more. So we're both pretty new to this Cube. So there's way fewer, there's a lot of drafts in which I think you and I would agree on a lot of packs, and I expect there'll be a lot more discussion here because the tires have been kicked a lot less on this Cube, and so there's a lot less sort of broadly understood power level outliers or card evaluations in this environment. So I think there's going to be a lot more to discuss as we go through this draft.
Yeah, I'm interested in doing this draft together because even though you said you haven't played it a lot, you have a lot of intimate knowledge of why all these cards are here and what their purpose is. And I feel a little bit less confident in what we're doing here. So I think it'll be an interesting discussion.
You can draft along with us, which is to say that we have provided a text file for download in the show notes. And if you take that text file and you go to draftmancer.com and upload it as predetermined booster packs, there'll be written instructions for this as well. It's pretty straightforward. You basically can draft the exact same seed that we can. I cannot promise that the bots on Draftmancer will not change a bit between when we're recording this episode and when you are doing the draft. So even if you make the exact same picks, your packs might be slightly different. But historically, when we've done this before, they tend to be pretty much the same. So you basically can, if you want, pause the podcast right now, go draft this seat, and then come back and hear what we did in that same spot, and you can kind of compare notes, or you can do it along with us if you want. When we don't pick a card you think we should take, you can take it yourself. And if you do want to share the results of your draft and how it turned out, you can find us in the Cube Talk Discord, or if you're a backer of the Patreon, in the Lucky Paper Discord to talk about that.
And we'll also have a draft viewer on the website on the cards mentioned page, so if you just want to see the full packs, everything that we're looking at, you can even turn off whether or not you're showing what we actually pick from it, so you can do it that way as well.
Yeah, which is a good time to mention that we are not going to read the rules text of all these cards. There are 360 of them. I guess there's 30 basic lands, so there's a few fewer than 360. There's a lot of cards in this cube, though, and many of them are somewhat complicated, so we are not going to be reading all the rules text. I will selectively maybe mention or allude to rules text, but if you really want to follow along with the draft completely, you'll have to do it on the website, because we're also not going to read every single card in every single pack. We're probably just going to talk about the ones that jump out at us, I imagine. This pack has been up in the background as Anthony and I have been doing this little preamble, and What do you take here, Anthony?
I feel totally the same.
It could be. Wait.
Sorry. We should explain what cube we're doing.
We absolutely should. Do you want to do the pitch? You do the pitch.
Sure. So this is your Take 5 cube. The idea is it's a desert cube, so you got to draft all your lands 3x15. Unlike a lot of desert cubes, which run bigger packs, so you have more sort of flexibility. You're just getting 45 cards, which means your deck building is simply to take 5 cards out of the cube. And the cube design is structured, thank you, the cube is structured around like a lot of really niche, janky combos. The idea is you're like playing so many of the cards that you drafted, so you're kind of being forced to put in a bunch of cards with like unique and interesting interactions with each other that you otherwise might not be willing to in a normal draft.
The conceit here is basically like, I've seen so many people get to the end of a draft of a cube and be like, I got this like cool dream to live, but it's not correct. I have just enough, solid cards in my color combination that I'm not supposed to try and do this like 3-card combo, even though it would be very cool if I did it. And so I'm just not going to run, a couple of those cards, and I'll just play removal and, good threats instead. And this cube gives you so few cuts that the idea is to make those ambitious, weird combinations of cards and weird synergies strategically correct. You have no other cards to play anyway, so you might as well go for the dream. I feel like we need to talk about a lot of cards in this pack because there is nothing that jumps out to me immediately as hugely powerful. Let me count. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I can narrow it down to 5 or 6 cards for me that I think are...
That's not that narrow.
It's not that narrow. Maybe 7.
I might look at the pack a little bit differently. I guess here's the questions I'm asking myself. First is, how important are lands really in this environment? You have intentionally made this a desert cube where lands are not like a super scarce resource. Like, we're going to end up with a lot of lands, especially if they come in the form of like, this is a land with a spell on the back, or it's a thing that can fetch a land or can do something else. Like, there's a lot of modal spells. There is a Selesnya Sanctuary, a Shelldock Isle, a basic forest, and a Ganjo Seat of the Empire is maybe the most interesting. Are you jumping right to lands at all, or are you more interested in prioritizing, like, what are the next categories? Like, cards that actually just have a high floor, I think, is another category of card I'm interested in, and then some of these, like, sweet combo-y cards we're talking about are kind of maybe the 3 angles I'm looking at.
I am very happy to first pick a land here. I will say I've seen a lot of players talk about a pick or a pack from this cube and rate basics extremely highly, and I think that bias comes from playing other desert cubes where oftentimes basics are very hard to come by and therefore very powerful. Here, I think the non-basics are pound for pound more powerful than the basic lands. You still want basic lands in every deck, basically, but I don't rate basics crazy highly here because, as you said, I do not want this to be the kind of desert cube where, like, one of the shticks is your mana is bad. Like, actually, your mana should be quite good here, and it's actually not very difficult to draft a solid mana base or a mana base that... It's not hard to draft enough lands, because I think there's 19 and a half lands per player, and we are looking at the entire cube. So, in order for you to have too few lands, you would need a player to have, like, 22, or, like, multiple players to have drafted 20 lands for that to make any sense. I don't come into a pack of this cube thinking I definitely do or definitely don't want to land. I'll take a good land out of the first pack. I'll take a good spell out of the first pack. I don't really rate either of those categories any higher than others.
I think I'm with you. So in that case, I think the cards that I'm looking at are Mossfire Egg because I'm Turbo Cube broken. No,
okay.
I'm not interested in that. I think Phyrexian Metamorph just has a really solid floor. Like, it just does stuff. And then maybe Kirkesh and Swans of... Tell me how you say this card.
Swans of Bryn Argol is what I say.
Swans of Bryn Argol. Swans, what I heard at CubeCon DMV, is just a big flyer, and it just wins games on its own without doing anything weird. So I think those are the cards that I'm looking at.
I like Metamorph. I do really like Iganjo. I think Iganjo is incredibly strong as a removal spell and a land that comes in untapped. Kirkesh is brand new to this cube. I literally just finished the cube update where I added it. I personally wouldn't rate it that highly at this point, but I'm open to being wrong about that. I also really like Fauna Shaman, Stonecloaker, and Selesnya Sanctuary. I think the bounce lands are among the best lands in this cube, period. And not only are they just great fixing that also comes with a form of card advantage, but there is a ton of synergies with them. Tons of ways to sort of fizzle their ETB bounce a land spell, tons of ways to untap them the turn they come into play. There's ways to untap lands that you have already in play, so it makes your untappers, mana positive. I mean, we see it right next to Stone Cedar Hierophant, which I'm not going to take, pack one, pick one, but taking Selesnya Sanctuary, wheeling Stone Cedar Hierophant, could be pretty good.
So what are you actually doing with a bunch of mana in this cube?
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff.
Okay, great. Yeah. As long as we got stuff to do.
You cast all your spells. And, the mana curve is quite high in this cube, so you get to play all your 4, 5, 6 mana spells. There's also a fair number of mana sinks in the form of stuff like Kessig Wolfrun and stuff like that. So there is stuff to do with a lot of mana. Yeah, I don't know. I guess based on what you said and what I said, I guess maybe we just take Phyrexian Metamorph. It's in both of our lists.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most exciting pick, to be honest, because I do like the idea of taking Swans and doing something sweet with it, but yeah, I think Metamorph is probably what I would take here.
I mean, Swans is very cool. I don't think it is a high enough ceiling for me to be excited to take it over a flexible card, because I think our second pack is likely to have more power than this
something
first pack.
Something that'll actually draw us in. So like this is Phyrexian Metamorph is a really, really open pick.
All right, we take Metamorph. Great. I should say, too, as we're going here, we're going to have to probably speed up a little bit. And also, at some point, we might have to defer to, letting one of us basically drive if we disagree. Sure. And I'll defer to you and let you drive if we disagree. But this pack, I think, has a couple more obvious standouts in terms of power level. And they are, to me, Mimic Vat and Birthing Pod.
Absolutely. Those are the two things that jumped out to me first. I'm also noticing Nameless Inversion is a card that I've also heard is very effective here, just being a removal spell that also has some like weird niche interactions, being a changeling. I drafted Mimeoplasm and was disappointed by it. Like, it seems like it should just be sweet, but I think it's between Mimic Vat and Birthing Pod for me.
Mimeoplasm is good here for what it's worth. Is it Boilerworks is the only other card I would consider, again, very high on the bounce lands here, but I think Birthing Pod or Mimic Vat, and the question is, do we want to try and do some cool internal synergies, or do we want to just grind our opponents into dust with Mimic Vat?
When you put it that way, I like the dust.
I think Mimic Vat is the stronger card, and Birthing Pod is the more fun card, but Mimic Vat, I think, is probably stronger.
You don't expect either of these to wheel, right?
I would not. I mean, I certainly would not at a table full of human drafters. Who's to say what these bots on Draftmancer will do?
All right, Mimic Vat it is. We also have a number of lands here and some land spells.
So now that we're 2 picks in and do not have a land, I'm starting to think I would like them a little more highly. I'll take lands a little more highly than I would otherwise at this point, because I do want to draft, I think like every third pick, ish should be a land.
Sure,
is a really good way to think about it. And so if we take, 3 or 4 cards in a row that are all non-lands, then I'm like, all right, I got to catch up on lands, basically.
That's actually a good question. We are drafting against bots here in a Desert Cube. Is that going to skew things a little bit here? Is this not going to be a totally normal draft?
We'll find out when we get to the end of this pack if it's just full basic lands. I have no idea.
But the important part is the discussions that we have about the cards. We do have a lot of lands in this pack, including... Oh, no, that's not what I thought it was. I can't read that card. Its text is too small over there. I think a lot of lands that are decent. Waterlogged Grove maybe is what stands out to me, or Fiery Islet.
Oh, see, I really prefer the Surveil lands over the Horizon lands, personally.
Okay.
So I'm a Commercial District, Shadowy Backstreet gamer in this spot, I think. Mana Confluence is in this pack, and I'll be honest, I don't know exactly how to rate this at this point. I mean, there's going to be a lot of cards, almost certainly, in our resulting deck that are going to have, like, ambitious splash modes, where they will be cards we can play in our deck as colorless spells or, as one-color spells, but will potentially be much better if we have access to a splash color. I mean, Mana Confluence is the most open pick, but I do really like the Surveil lands in terms of, smoothing our hand and stuff, and so I don't think any of these non-land spells are good enough to take me off of a land, especially given our discussions around how frequently we should be taking lands. I'm going to veto the Horizon lands, I think, unless you really feel strongly about them.
I did feel in drafting this, it's like cycling away a land that I already had in play was not something I wanted to do often. What is Codex Shredder here for? Are you trying to build a full Lantern control deck?
No, Codex Shredder is mostly here for Second Sunrise, because you can loop Face Reward or Second Sunrise with Codex Shredder and enough ways to generate mana and sacrifice your stuff.
I see.
It's also just a way to get back a spell.
Sure.
It's a slow regrowth, which is fine.
I think Mana Confluence, in addition to being forced to play most of our spells, we're also being forced to play most of our lands, and so just staying open here makes sense to me.
All right, this next pack, there are 3 cards that jump out at me.
Okay, what is the 4th card? I legitimately don't know what that is.
The 4th card? Oh, that's Vengeful Dreams.
Vengeful Dreams.
It's actually crazy strong. It's white for an instant. As additional cost to play this spell, discard X cards from your hand, and you exile X attacking creatures.
That is kind of interesting.
We are not at all committed to a color
when
yet.
It's good. So what I'm noticing is a number of blue cards. We've got Magus of the Bazaar, Champion of Wits, and Ghostly Flicker, a number of lands, and then a Composite Golem. I like the Champion of Wits. It's kind of... Is that good with Mimic Vat? Maybe not really. Just like loop through our whole deck if we can get that under there.
Champion of Wits is like the really high floor crap that jumped out at me. Fiery Temper also a very high floor. There's tons of ways to discard in this cube. I think Ghostly Flicker is the ambitious, potentially high ceiling card. And Vengeful Dreams is great, but it is white. A sign maybe that we're not being passed to by a heavy white drafter. But the question is, do we want to commit to a double pip spell in a cube where we have to draft all of our lands? Ghostly Flicker is a lot of crazy stuff you can do here in terms of flipping MDFCs into big creatures because you play them as lands and then flip them up as creatures. You can flip your morphs. You can use this to like loop Pinnacle Monk with itself and just cast Ghostly Flicker turn over turn and keep, making big Pinnacle Monks and stuff like that. There's a lot of like fun edge cases with Ghostly Flicker if you want to aim for a ceiling card, or we can go with a nice floor card.
Yeah, I guess the other option is there's still plenty of lands here. We only have one land. I think I'm on Champion of Wits just for staying open.
Yeah, the other option is Dimir Aqueduct, which the bounce lands and surveil lands are two of the cycles I take most highly in this cube personally. So the question is it better to have a good blue land or a good blue spell?
Maybe we start exploring the idea of blue being a focal color of our deck and take the champion.
Sounds good to me. This pack, jumping out at me, we have Basic Island, Step Through, which has Wizard Cycling, and Champion of Wits is a wizard.
Neat.
I'm also looking at Azorius Chancery and Saw in Half, to be honest, out of this pack.
Saw in Half does so many weird things.
There's a Golgari Rat Farm, but I'm more interested in the blue bounce land, given that we have a blue spell.
I agree with the Azorius Chancery. I'm surprised Saw in Half seems just like kind of busted.
I mean, the thing is, it is not that good as an actual removal spell.
Right. No, I think of it almost entirely as I'm doing this on my own creatures to double trigger ETBs and things like that.
It can be a removal spell in a pinch, but it is mostly like a Ghostly Flicker style synergy card, which, I mean, not exactly a combo with Champion of Wits, because
not exactly.
You end up discarding a bunch of cards, but cool with Phyrexian Metamorph. Make 2 copies of new creatures.
Yeah.
And then I believe that the Saw in Half overwrites the power and toughness of the new creatures to be half of whatever the thing was before you.
Yes.
So you basically, like, let's say you had a Phyrexian Metamorph that was a 4/4. You're going to get 2/2s regardless of what you make the new things copies of, which could be potentially interesting.
Right. I think the Chancery, though, because we only have one land so far, right? Great.
And we got 2 lands,
3 spells.
3 spells, and this pack, I think, is a very easy Scroll of Fate.
Okay, so tell me about Scroll of Fate, because I've heard some mutterings about this is a card that maybe counters the conceit of the cube, and it's just good.
It is just good. Like, could be in many more cubes. I think it is just a pretty powerful card that is overlooked because it's only in a commander set. This is a 3-mana artifact that you can tap to manifest a card from your hand. So you can just tap it to put any card from your hand face down as a 2/2. In this cube, there's a lot of ways to care about having a card manifested face down. Cards like Phyrexian Dreadnought, you can now get around the ETB downside. There's a lot of morphs here. There's a lot of other stuff, but just getting to turn a bad card in your hand, because again, your deck's going to be pretty janky, into a free Grizzly Bear every single turn is pretty strong.
You can also then still, if it's creature, flip it up for its mana value, so you're not necessarily giving up on much. How does that interact with... This cube just, for me, brings up so many card interaction questions. Mimic Vat plus a Manifest, it dies, it is the card it was.
Yes, it is the card it was. So yes, you could, for example, put a like big, 9-mana creature down, face down, sacrifice it or trade in combat. Right. Now it's under Mimic Vat. Yes, correct. I thought you were going to ask about the interaction with Phyrexian Metamorph, which I believe is that if you unmanifest it, it just goes away as a 0/0 because it never came into play.
Yes, that makes sense to me.
You can see why this cube leads to rules interaction questions, but are you going to disagree with my assessment that it's an easy Scroll of Fate? I mean, Shadow Skull Smashing is very good. Lightning Axe is very good. Hedge Maze is a blue surveil land, but Scroll of Fate, I think, is pack on pick winnable here.
I'm into it. There's a Nephilim that is probably cool, but I don't think we're taking that.
All right, now we come to a fork in the road.
This pack feels different.
I'll update this text file for the download to include the set and card version. I didn't think to do that, so we're looking at...
Yeah, this basic planes looks crazy.
Awful Spider-Man basic planes, but you'll be seeing the real cards if you're doing this, drafting along. What are you looking at here, Anthony? Only one land in this pack, and it is basic planes.
Right. We've got a Goblin Charbelcher, which is cool. Ashnod's Harvester, which is... I mean, it's just like fine, but I think that the exiling things from your opponent's graveyard comes up like pretty often. You get 2 cracks at that, right? So
if you have black mana, you get 2 cracks. Otherwise, you just get the 1 crack. A great example of the kind of card here that makes us glad you took the Mana Confluence, because play this as a colorless card, it's fine, but if you have that, black splash, obviously it gets better.
There's also a Swiftblade Vindicator, which just seems great. And remind me what Magenta the Lion does. Why do I know the name of this card but can't remember what it does?
It's a Spellshaper Legend that's a 5-mana 3/3, and you can cast Wrath of God for all creatures except for Magita every turn if you want.
That is kind of cool.
By paying the Wrath of God mana cost and discarding 2 cards from your hand.
And Cosmogoyf, I feel like, should be kind of broken, but...
I don't think it's broken. I think it's a cool build around. You got to make it work.
I think either a land or, honestly, the Ashnod's Harvester? I don't know. What are you thinking?
Magita, I think, is a good white card. We did pass a Vengeful Dreams earlier. I think maybe the drafters passing to us are not in heavy white. You could take that as a sign. We have an Azorius Chancery. The planes being in the pack, honestly, is also kind of a sign. So you could see some signals here that we should be white in addition to blue, which would be maybe taking Vegeta, maybe taking the planes, maybe taking Soulblade Vindicator. I don't know. Right now we have nothing to do with it, but we can find something to do with it. Charbelcher, it's not too late to draft a Charbelcher deck, I don't think. If we wanted to like completely shift gears and just say we're going to take Charbelcher, I don't think we're going to draft a Charbelcher deck where we win on the spot as soon as we activate it.
Right.
But I think we can definitely draft a Charbelcher deck where we win probably if we activate it twice, which is a cool dream to try and live. I put it to you that we should be either doing Ashnod's Harvester for just like playing it safe, or Vegeta Plains, or Charbelcher if we want to be a little more, read the signals of the draft, or be a little more ambitious.
I'm kind of feeling Plains, honestly.
Okay. I don't hate
Your
it.
third land.
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
You're almost certainly not going to regret that pick heavily. Here we see Umara Wizard, which if we had gone a different direction in this draft, we would have Step Through and Ghostly Flicker, both of which work with Umara Wizard, which is the MDFC Wizard 4/3. We see a Chromantic
I would not be surprised to see Step Through come back.
I truly have no idea what to expect from these bots, so it's hard for me to say.
Good point.
But this is our last new booster. We're going to get our pack we opened next. Abyssal Harvester is a good card, but it is black. Chromantic Core is an incredible card, but it is full Wooburg. Recommission is fine. Umara Wizard is, I think, quite strong because it's just a flexible card. And then we have off-color lands if we're treating ourselves as blue-white.
I like either Wizard or Recommission. I think Recommission is quite good, is it not?
I think you mostly want to have ways to put stuff in your own graveyard before you're like really excited about Recommission. Right now we have Champion of Wits, but I don't think it's like incredible if you're just expecting to trade in combat or have your stuff removed and recommission it back.
Do you value at all taking the last blue card out of the pack?
Not really. I do think Umara Wizard is the better card than Recommission in this spot.
All right.
The thing about the MDFCs is that they're just so strong because it's a land and a spell.
Right,
so it's like, now we've got our fourth land in 8 picks, which means we're a little head on our land count, but we're not too heavy on our land count because we also have this MDFC, which is, also a spell. So I think Chromantic Core is the other arguable decision here. It's like there are definitely players that would just say, I'm going to take this and find a way to make it work. Right now we have play it face down with Scroll of Fate, trade in combat, put it under Mimic Vat, and almost certainly win. That's kind of cool, but I don't know if you want to try and live the 5-color Chromantic Core dream.
I'd rather have blue lands.
Nice conservative play. All right, so back to our first pack, and there's a lot of white cards left. Stonecloaker, Iganjo, and Swans of Bryn Argol still in the pack, along with Sajiri Step. Kirkesh also in the pack, and we now have a number of artifacts whose activated abilities we would definitely want to copy. Probably more Mimic Vat than Scroll of Fate, though, copying Scroll of Fate's ability seems cool too if you want to manifest 2 cards from your hand a turn. I have definitely had games in this cube where I had Scroll of Fate and just an untapper and just like, haha, I make 2 2/2s every turn, and who cares if I have no cards in hand? I have a huge army of grizzly bears. Definitely mattered. So
I think I'm between, Stonecloaker is also just a personal favorite. Iganjo seems really good though, as like a flexible spell and land. And birds.
The thing about swans is that if we take swans, we aren't even committed to white.
That's a great point.
We are basically mono blue, which is an incredible spot to be after a whole round of a pack, because obviously this is a cube where we end up playing a lot of colors. We'll definitely end up playing the Azorius Chancery, even if we're not playing any white spells at all. We may end up playing the planes for like a weird splash or something. But Iganjo, you really want to be a deck that has white so you can channel it. Obviously, Stonecloaker requires white to cast. Swans could just be blue-blue.
So remind me, swans, whenever it's dealt damage, the person damaging it draws cards.
And that damage is prevented.
Yeah,
so you basically can't kill it in combat, and you can't kill it with burn spells, but all your opponent's burn spells now become Ancestral Recalls or whatever.
But so do your own burn spells. So really you want to be playing like a blue-red deck with it.
Yes, and there are a couple ways in the cube to deal recurring damage. Like this is a combo with Molten Vortex, which you can...
Goblin Charbelcher.
And theoretically Goblin Charbelcher.
That could be fun.
Yeah, draw your deck. What do you think?
I think I like either Swans or Iganjo. Or you think Stonecloaker's a safer pick?
No, I think between these white cards, I'd rather have Iganjo over Stonecloaker. It's just another modal land that can also be a spell. Stonecloaker is great here, I think, but I'd rather have Iganjo over taking a white card. Or do you want to stay mono blue?
Let's stay mono blue.
All right. I like that flexibility. Now we're free to do whatever comes our way. Like, for example, I think, this Nameless Inversion.
We got Nameless Inversion. Unearth is still in the pack. Ingot Chewer, Song Mad Treachery. Sure, let's just take a Nameless Inversion.
Removal is really strong here.
Yeah.
And I think you should just look at this as a 2-mana -3 toughest end of turn, because that is mostly what it is. And then if we end up getting Hack-In, or if we let Wizard Cycler, we can Wizard Cycle for Nameless Inversion.
That's pretty cool.
Which would be the next pick.
It is also the one of the ways to kill swans. Yeah. So that's interesting.
All right, Nameless Inversion it is, and I think this was the pack that would have had whatchamacallit in it. step through, but does not.
Okay.
But some interesting decisions here anyway. Shadowy Backstreet helps us cast Nameless Inversion, and then we kind of have like a free white splash in a deck that so far doesn't have any white spells, but will have a lot of white fixing lands. There's Unwanted Remake as a reasonable removal spell. This is a instant speed removal spell for 1 white mana if it destroys a creature, but its controller manifests dread, which means you can do this to yourself if your creature's going to die in combat or is going to get removed anyway, or if you know what's on top of your deck and manifesting dread is really powerful, which you can set that up in some cases, or it's a removal spell with downside on your opponent's thing. It replaces it with a 2/2. Or there's Tower Above, a great card in this cube that I adore. I recently picked up a foil of this card just because I really wanted one, and I think it's actually way better than people think it is. The casting cost of this is 2 green. So either 6 colorless or green, or some combination thereof. And it gives a creature until end of turn +4/+4, trample, wither, and when this creature attacks, target creature blocks it this turn if able. It's like this crazy fight spell from Shadowmoor.
Yeah, that is probably better than I was thinking at first.
I don't love it in our deck because we don't have any green mana sources save for Mana Confluence, but this goes dummy with a lot. If we had 2 green fixing lands here, I'd be like all in on Tower Above.
Really? Okay.
But as is, I think it's probably Backstreet.
I think
honestly.
Backstreet, does the fact that it is a typed duel matter here? Are there ways we can fetch it? Okay.
There are not fetch lands, but the fact that it's typed does matter for other reasons.
Okay. Let's see what comes up.
And mostly, I really want to cast this Nameless Inversion. Okay, so now we have Nimbus Maze to fully complete the Esper mana of our mana base, which could be great. We did wield Vengeful Dreams, which I think is kind of wrong. I think that card is insane. We should probably take it here. There's also a Compass of Golem and a Fiery Temper, which are all fine, but I think Vengeful Dreams is actually kind of nuts, and we already have every single land producing white that we've taken, except for Umar Wizard.
Sure. Okay.
This card I think will impress you. It is up.
Beckon Apparition seems reasonable, actually.
Yeah, here it's an on-color card compared to Fists of Flame or Barbarian Ring.
You do need a target, but that shouldn't be too hard to find, and it's
a
relevant
card in the
interaction.
Seems okay.
Flagstones came back.
It just doesn't do a lot here, to be perfectly honest. It's just kind of cool. Yeah, so then we got Flagstones over Glint Eye Nephilim, which I don't think we want Glint Eye Nephilim at this point. We have Scroll of Fate Mimic that, but we're not the deck. If we had taken Birthing Pod and other ways to cheat creatures into play, I'd be all excited about it, but I think we just want to complete our mana base here. And now we come to the sort of conceit of Take 5. We are handed a Swiftblade Vindicator as our last pick, which on its face, we're not playing. We're an Esper deck, but we do have a Mana Confluence and a Scroll of Fate currently to sort of ignore the casting cost of this card. So there might be a world where we end up putting this in and out of our sideboard, but I think currently we are on 1 card not main decked in our Esper deck that currently has we do have the white spell in Vengeful Dreams, so I think we're basically shaping up to be an Esper deck.
And we're at 5 or 6 lands, depending on how we count, which I think I feel pretty good about.
Yeah, I feel good about our land count for sure. I think our first pack went okay. I think we're lacking major power outliers, but we have a solid plan and a good-looking control deck. And now we open up this pack and see, in our colors at least, Port of Carfell, Ikerslick, Labman, Ottawara Soaring City, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, Island Fairy Conclave, Paradoxical Outcome. There is a Leveler here too, which I don't think we're taking, but if we take the Labman, we could wheel the Leveler, which could be kind of interesting.
Doesn't seem impossible.
And it's also, you can put a Leveler under a Scroll of Fate and then just flip it up.
That's
for 5.
Pretty cool.
Into a 10/10. We do have other things to do with Leveler, even in our first pack of this draft. What are you thinking?
I feel like Fairy Conclave is another card that's just going to be solid. Ikerslick also just solid, and I feel like some more interaction would be good here. Or Paradoxical Outcome is the cool pick, but we don't have a bunch of cheap stuff to make it really good.
I think the cool pick is obviously Laboratory Maniac.
Sure.
So just to say, we are in a blue deck. Labman is a 3-mana 2/2. The floor of it is
That's a guy.
The floor of it is better than you think in this environment. It's not nothing. And we have Swellens of Bryn our goal, and that is the kind of card that we could theoretically draw our entire deck with. And that's assuming we don't see Doomsday, we don't wheel a Leveler, we don't find anything else to do with Labman, which I think it's pretty early in the draft, and it's somewhat likely we will find something to do with it anyway.
Is Noxious Revival in the mix? That was also a weird printing I did not recognize.
I didn't recognize it either. Noxious Revival is a really strong card. I wouldn't take it this early in this pack. It's very flexible and always does something, but here we have extremely good lands like Port of Carfell and Ottawara, or we have removal like Ikerslick, or we have an ambitious potential build around like Labman.
I think let's get ambitious.
All right, now you're getting brave. It's good. You're very safe in pack 1, and now you get to be brave in pack 2. Here comes Labman. The second pick of pack 2, and this is a little underwhelming for us, but I do like Boggart Trawler, Waterlog Teachings as just MDFC flexible cards that work well. I don't think we're a Jalum Tome or Apocryphite deck. There's no other planes we want to take it, or Windbrisk Kites, or you could take a Darkwater Egg.
Literally any deck is a Apocryphite deck.
But To me, it's one of those two, Boggart Trawler or Waterlogged Teachings.
I mean, okay, this is feeling a little bit out of my comfort zone, but if we take the Waterlogged Teachings, that's going to make our Laboratory Maniac plan a lot more possible. Like,
is it?
Isn't it? Aren't there, like, we get that and then Doomsday and then...
Doomsday's a sorcery.
Damn, it only gets instants?
Only gets instants.
Okay, so that's not the case.
Cards with Flash, which right now we have Nameless Inversion and Vengeful Dreams and Beckon Apparition.
I mean, it's also just a land on the back, which
also
seems
just a land.
Very good.
It's really strong.
That's what I want.
Waterlogged Teachings it is. Now we're on the lookout for a number of things. We're on the lookout for more instants for Waterlogged Teachings or cards with Flash. We're on the lookout for something to combo with Swans of Bryn, our goal, to draw our entire deck. We're on the lookout for things to pair with Nameless Inversion, like Hacken or anything at like typed cycles to go find Nameless Inversion, or potentially creatures with ETB downsides we can tuck under Scroll of Fate or Mimic Vat. So a lot of like things for us to be on the lookout for.
Speak of the Hacken,
I spied one of the things we're on the lookout for.
Okay,
and
so
it's
how exactly Hacken just lets us recast Nameless Inversion every turn? Is that correct?
As many times as you want in a turn, in fact. Yeah. Hacken just says you can play night spells from your graveyard, and Nameless Inversion is an instant with Changeling, so it has every single type, including night. Now, Hacken, importantly, you can only cast from your graveyard, so we need ways to discard cards before we're like really happy to put Hacken in our deck. Right now we have Champion of Wits and no other ways to bin our own Hacken, except for, honestly, playing a bounce land on turn 2 on the play, and on the draw rather, and discarding to hand size, which I have done as well. Now we do have Scroll of Fate to put, Hacken in play, trade in combat, get it out of the graveyard. There's also an Undercity Sewers, which is like one of the best fixing lands for our deck. And then I don't think anything else here is in contention. I think it's like you want the Hacken for the Nameless Inversion combo, and then we have to start looking pretty harshly at like discard outlets as a way to get Hacken into our graveyard.
Which I think we kind of want for other reasons anyway, so...
There's nothing right now in our deck that makes us want a discard outlet.
Well, I guess, yeah, like things that churn through our deck, like Champion of Wits and Laboratory Maniac kind of work together. There's also Sky Hussar, which does stuff, and is also another flyer.
I love Sky Hussar, but I think compared to Hacken or Undercity Sewers, like, these are two premier cards for our deck.
I don't think we're going to wheel Hacken, are we? Somebody else is going to want to do cool stuff. Yeah, let's take it. Let's commit.
So now, ways to bin cards, like, for example, perhaps an Emery.
Emery definitely does that. There's also Fetid Pools in this pack, which is a little bit disappointing.
Or Zop Basilica.
Soul Flayer is just good, and Basilica.
And Duplicate and Celendy Vision.
So we don't have like super combo-y stuff with Emery, like we don't have any eggs or anything, but it does also just like let us buy back our like powerful 3-mana artifact. So
we have, I think, just the 3 artifacts right now in Mimic Vat, Scroll of Fate, and Phyrexian Metamorph, but all of which are good to get back with Emery.
Good ones, so I think I'm on Emery.
There's also like it mills us for Labman, it mills us for Hacken. We're like approaching we want our library in our graveyard style deck. I'm upset to pass the Basilica, and we should, I think, start looking at lands again.
Yeah.
Because this is our pick 4 in this pack, and we have taken no lands.
We have the Waterlogged Teachings. That's kind of a
we did
land.
get a Waterlogged. You're right, that is. So yeah, I think Emery is kind of a cool look here. I'm going to put Emery in the 1-drop slot because I'm ambitious. I'm also going to put Metamorph in the 3-drop slot.
That makes sense. Perilous Mirror's kind of cute with Emery. There's also Eater of Days, which is very cool with Scroll of Fate, and nothing else in our deck. Can we take Eater of Days?
We can definitely take Eater of Days. You're right that right now it's great with Scroll of Fate, and otherwise...
It's really cool with Mimic Vat. We could skip turns forever. Yeah, I mean, there's also a Silent Clearing, a Comeback Wrong, which is a quite good removal spell, I think. It's just kind of like a murder with upside. Not an instant, notably, for Waterlogged Teachings. It is a sorcery. Or as a Plains. I feel like it's just kind of your draft now. I'm here to talk through it, but I like you making the decisions. I agree. Perilous Mirror, Silent Clearing, Comeback Wrong, Plains are probably the options. I think we already have a couple of dreams we're trying to live, so I don't think Eater of Days being added to that list of dreams is... But the more dreams we have, the more likely we are to have one.
That is... I guess probably technically true.
Eater of Days is so cool, and I've seen multiple people just win. Just be like, yeah, I play this. I skip 2 turns,
do you want the
and then I will attack you. Maybe we'll wheel it. I think I want the Silent Clearing. I think you're right. We're a little bit low on lands. Comeback Wrong, I agree, is just solid, like really good. But
it's worth noting that with Hacken and Nameless Inversion, we might not need any other removal if we can reliably enough turn that on.
Okay.
Because it just lets you cast as many times as you want.
Ooh. So we got some lands. We got Tameshi.
God, what a pack. Tameshi, Bane of the Living, Hagra Mauling, Meticulous Archive, Gale Powder Mage, all in the same pack. Woo!
I'm leaning Tameshi or Meticulous Archive, I think. Tameshi just does so much, right? But am I overvaluing it?
I don't think you're overvaluing it. I think Tameshi is arguably one of the best cards in the cube, but I think also, Hagler Mauling is fantastic. It is an instant. It's a land that's an instant, so Waterlogged Teachings can also get a land if you want, which is,
that's funny.
That matters.
Does it? Because you can just play the Waterlogged Teachings as a land.
Well, yeah, but if you... Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, fair. Shut up.
Could get anything, even the thing it already is.
Get a land. We're not really a Gale Powder Mage deck, except for Champion of Wits. There's not a lot of ETBs in this cube intentionally, so it's not like there is a Gale Powder Mage deck that goes crazy with it. But, I mean, that's not true. You can put something into play with Scroll of Fate and then flip it up with Gale Powder Mage for free.
We just got to wheel that Eater of Days.
Well, no, that does make it come into play.
Oh, you're right. Then we skip 2 turns
and
win.
You can flip it up for free, but you still need to deal with any negative ETBs. I think it's Tameshi, Hagler Mauling, or Meticulous Archive.
Yeah. I want to take Tameshi.
So Tameshi, worth noting here, works with bounce lands. That just, draws you a card, which is cool. You also want to have, I think, some density of cheap artifacts. Now we are a Tameshi, Emery deck, and all of a sudden, Darkwater Egg, we're, desperately hoping wheels, because that would be insane for us. Seems good to me.
Sundial of the Infinite. Now, there's a cool card.
Oh, man, Jesus, this pack.
Okay, this pack is really good. We got some good lands. We have Sundial of the Infinite, which just ends the turn, which, it works with all your, Eater of Days and such, but also,
which we didn't take.
Again, from what I've heard, it just interferes with stuff more than you might expect.
It does more than you would expect, but that means that instead of doing literally nothing if you don't have a combo, it does a little something sometimes. It's not like it is a good card, as a base rate.
I think we just got to take the Executioner's Capsule, though, to go with Emery and other things.
Yeah, I think it's that or Umbral Expanse. Again, we are now on 8 lands, and we're approaching exactly halfway through the draft.
So that feels pretty good,
So we're basically on target, but we're not safely ahead of where we need to be. So I think Executioner's Capsule with Emery and Tameshi is quite strong, though. And just good removal.
Let's do it. Speak of a capsule, we got a Dispeller's Capsule.
Which honestly I think is maybe even a better capsule
here.
Yeah,
I think it's quite good, and we're going to be able to cast it easily. Oval Chase Daredevil, what's the deal with that? Does that do anything for us here?
It's just basically a squee if you can play artifacts reliably in your deck.
Sure, which we kind of can maybe?
Not yet, but we are on the path to probably being able to because we took Emery and Tameshi, but right now we only have a few artifacts, a handful.
Okay, I think Dispeller's Capsule is...
I agree.
Oh, there's also Goblin Welder. I mean, we don't have any red lands except for Mana Confluence, but...
Yeah, we're not doing Welder stuff, I think, this late in the draft, but... All right, Dispeller's Capsule it is. Back to our first pack.
Okay, cool. Well, lots of stuff wheeled that we would want.
Port of Carfell and Paradoxical Outcome all wheeled. The Leveler is here, but we didn't go that direction. We just didn't take the Stern, whatchamacallit either. 2-mana guy, Stern Proctor, the guy that counters all ETBs.
Yeah.
We, in fact, don't want to counter ETBs because we have things like Emery and
Great point.
Champion of Wits, so...
Fairy Conclave or Icerslick, I think, is where I'm at.
I would suggest Port of Carfell is better than you are expecting because you maybe have never read it before.
I read it when I drafted that set.
Enters battlefield taps for a blue, or you can pay 3 blue, black, tap and sacrifice it to mill 4 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to play.
I mean, that's pretty good with Laboratory Maniac.
It is definitely really good in the Doomsday decks because it gives you a backup Labman if your Labman gets answered at instant speed, which is pretty cool. So you can right before you draw to otherwise lose the game, you can Port of Carfell to put a Labman in play, or Icerslick. Or Fairy Conclave. What do you want?
Let's take the port. You talked me into it.
The port. This pack didn't have a ton for us at first. Now we're looking, I think, a little differently at Ingenious Smith. It looks like maybe the sort of blue-white artifact deck is open. There is an Apocryphite and a Jalum Tome, which would be, I think, fine playables in that deck, but not incredible. And Ingenious Smith, if we can now really focus on a density of cheap artifacts in addition to all the other stuff we're focusing on, could potentially really work out for us.
Yeah, sounds great to me.
Boop.
Basic Swamp.
All right. Basic Swamp, Sky Husser, Planar Guide, and Zombie Infestation. Zombie Infestation, now, we talked again about wanting discard outlets for Hacken, and we got none after talking about that, except for Emery, which is not exactly the same. This Hacken is looking a little rough in our main deck, I would say, right now. I mean, I'd probably still end up playing it, but it would be questionable. Zombie Infestation makes that better, but we don't have anything else we really want to be discarding.
Other stuff we want to be doing, yeah. So I think I'm between Swamp and Sky Hussar.
Planar Guide is not nothing with Scroll of Fate. You can put a bunch of creatures into play and then flip them all with Planar Guide.
What, it just exiles everything and then returns it?
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
Also buys a turn. It can be a fog.
Okay, how do we feel about lands?
Planar Guide is a fog every single turn with Mimic Vat.
Okay, I like that. Interesting. So how are we with lands? We got 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9?
9 if you count the MDFCs. But if we're counting MDFCs, I want to have more than 17. So
yeah, that makes sense. So I think I might just be on Swamp.
Swamp it is. Sorry, Sky Husser.
Oh, but the Orzhov Basilica came back.
Orzhov Basilica came back. a shame to pass Eternal Dragon. We're not really a Soul Flayer deck. I would very happily play Eternal Dragon here, but I think Workshop Basilica is just a better Eternal Dragon, basically. We already have Tameshi. Bounce lands are incredible. And now, Anthony, do you want Second Sunrise, Eater of Days, or Death Shadow?
Ooh, Death Shadow seems maybe just good. We don't really want to be stopping ETBs. I don't know. I feel a little lost with this pick.
Yeah, I think we don't really want any of these cards. So the question is, if we're going to be begrudgingly forced to play one, which one do you want to be begrudgingly forced to play? And I think maybe it's Eater of Days. Like you said, people have won games just by casting it and skipping their next 2 turns, and that's been good enough.
I mean, really, Scroll of Fate is our one combo with it.
Yes, I don't think we have anything else right now that combos with it.
Let's take it. Why not?
Sideboard for now?
Yeah.
Gale
Powder Mage
I think we're certainly playing a Gale Powder Mage.
Seems good.
Yeah. And Black Bloom Rogue is an incredible last pick.
Great. Okay, good last picks.
Just a land, basically. On to pack 3. Real quick, pause. How are you feeling about this deck?
I feel okay. I think my biggest concern is just getting... Again, I don't maybe have a good sense of the tempo of this cube. I'm worried about getting run over because we got a lot of 3 drops and more, and we don't have... I mean, we have some interaction. We've got the Nameless Inversion, Executioner's Capsule, and Dispeller's Capsule, and...
Vengeful Dreams.
Yeah. So I think I feel pretty good. Like, some things aren't necessarily huge role players. Like, I'm not really sure what we're doing with Swans yet.
Swan so far is just a difficult-to-kill blocker.
Yeah.
And might remain that for us, and might not even get main deck, depending on how things go. Our pack 3 has a couple of cards that stand out to me. Mystical Teachings is another way to tutor up instance. Glasspool Mimic is a very flexible land or clone. Bone Shards is a efficient removal spell. Ichor Wellspring with the Tameshi, the Emery, and the Ingenious Smith looking much more appealing. And Orvar is a knight for hacking.
True.
Bone Shards discarding Hacken.
And Bone Shards discarding Hacken.
That's
nothing. Kind of what I'm thinking. I'm kind of between Bone Shards and Ichor Wellspring.
I'd also be remiss not to mention the Fiend Art is in here, which can just be obviously black. I don't know that we have the curve or threats to be excited about a Fiend Artisan, but it is very much on color for us.
I think Bone Shards, and maybe we wheel the Wellspring.
Bone Shards it is.
All right, this is an interesting pack because we do have the Doomsday here. We also have an Aether Spellbomb, which is a great card. Everybody loves that card. A Scrap Trawler.
And a River of Tears.
And
Aghanim's Awakening.
God Pharaoh's Gift.
And honestly,
is that something you're thinking
about?
I'm
pretty happy about playing Lotus Field in this deck too, to be honest. Am I looking at God Pharaoh's Gift? Not really for our deck, I don't think. So the question is, do you want to be a Doomsday deck? We have Labman.
Pack 3 is where the courage disappears.
We have Labman and Port of Carfel, and that would be basically our entire Doomsday plan at the moment. Would be basically like, we are going to put Labman into play with Port of Carfel, either by putting Port at the top of our Doomsday pile and then untapping the next turn with enough mana to put it into play, activate it rather, or we're going to have Port in play already and then just play Doomsday and put Labman anywhere. Or we take a good fixing land in River of Tears or a good interactive trinket in Aether Spellbomb and trust in the rest of our game plan. Which basically means we're a grindy control deck.
Yeah.
With like an artifact synergy going on.
Scrap Trawler just does so much.
Scrap Trawler is really good. We still don't have a crazy density of artifacts. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts.
Yeah, that's maybe less than I thought. An Aether Spellbomb's so good. I love it. I don't know. This is a really difficult pick.
Well, you have to make it because I think I would probably be doing the Doomsday thing here. I think we can hopefully pick up a counterspell or two. Ideally, in this pack would be like what I want to protect my win condition, and I would also love to get like a Lion's Eye Diamond to activate that Port of Carfel to make our Doomsday more of a combo that just goes off in one turn. Would be cool. I think that's what I would probably pick.
Doomsday is like just a combo card, right? Like there's no like, oh, I just need these 5 cards to win or whatever it does.
I have one with a Fairy Doomsday in this cube where you don't get a combo, you just get a couple good pieces of interaction because you're head on board and you just beat your opponent. But I think mostly it's a combo card.
Let's do the Doomsday.
Like, hey, we're like, I don't get to do this fairly, do I? Right? Please? So I will say now I'm going to take black mana sources more highly.
That makes sense.
We do find Altar of Dementia and Savin's Reclamation. Altar of Dementia really good with Labman. If we don't do Doomsday stuff, because we just, mill ourselves out, basically, and win the game. Savin's Reclamation just insane. We have so many 3-drops, so it gets back most of our win conditions in deck, including Labman. If we end up, in a Doomsday pile with Labman. Here, finally, is the Molten Vortex for the Swans of Bryn our goal, but we're not on that strategy. And I will remind you, we are on 9, 10, 11... 12 lands right now, including MDFCs. I'd like to be on 18 or 19 lands with MDFCs by the time this pack is over. Razorgraft Ambush is another just really good MDFC removal spell. Saziri Shelter to protect our Labman Man. I've
There's
made
both an island and a swamp.
I've made you take Doomsday, and now we have the challenge of trying to draft a Doomsday deck in Pack 3.
Yeah, I mean, Savin's Reclamation is just so good, but I think taking a land is probably the right choice, and so we do 3 damage to attacking or blocking creature and protect something. Sure, let's take the Shelter.
I think that is a Doomsday pick, to be honest. You can put that in your Doomsday pile to protect your Lab Man, so I like that. Then we get Precursor Golem is one of the best sort of fair rate cards in the cube, the most awful Sundering Growth I've ever seen in my entire life. An island, a Scrabbling Claws, Phyrexian Revoker.
I think the island looks appealing. I'm also a huge fan of Scrabbling Claws all the time. Sometimes just a turn 1 Scrabbling Claws can totally take over a game and is really good with Emery and some of our other cards. So I'm kind of between Scrabbling Claws or Island. I want Scrabbling Claws.
All right, Scrabbling Claws it is. I would take lands very highly now, personally, but we don't really have a choice in this pack. I mean, I guess we could take Boros Garrison as an off-color bounce land, but really this pack is Engineered Explosives is the thing that really jumps out at me, and Shaper Parasite and Phaedo Exterminator and Vesuvian Shapeshifter are all fine, but I think it's really just Engineered Explosives.
Agreed.
So, easy. Let's keep this moving. I really want lands now.
Tomb of Urami is our choice then.
Well, Malakir Rebirth and Kabira Takedown are also both lands.
Yeah, I like Malakir Rebirth quite a bit. It's sad to be passing Scrapyard Recombiner and Mirror Retriever and Mirage Mirror, but yeah, that's...
Malakir Rebirth is another Doomsday card for our Lab Man, too. Another way to protect Lab Man, which is quite good.
Talon Gates. Talon Gates, we can do any... Can we do anything with that?
Nothing particularly spicy, I don't think. It's just a good card.
But it is also just a land and probably what we need.
Yeah, I do think it's probably the pick over Island or Plains. I would want black producing lands more than anything. The question is, do you want Elsewhere Flask or Prismatic Ending? Elsewhere Flask makes it much easier to cast your Doomsday, obviously. That is true. And also as an artifact for Ingenious Smith, Tameshi, and Emery. And Prismatic Ending is just a premier removal spell.
Remind me, how many lands are we at?
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, including MDFCs.
Yeah, we need more lands than that.
I mean, we still have, 8 picks left in this pack?
At least one of those packs is pretty dead in terms of lands that are going to be left in it.
Yeah, that's true. There were a couple dead packs with no real lands in them.
I mean, Talon Gates does filter.
I mean, Talon Gates is just a good card.
Yeah.
It's also kind of modal. Like, it's just a land that can also ramp you and also interact with your opponent a little bit if you want.
I think I want to take that.
All right. I'm a little sad to pass Prismatic Ending, but I think it's fine. And here we might be on and somewhat off color. Let me take the Bane Veil, right? As another MDFC.
Sure. I mean, we're going to take a tapped land regardless, so...
I do really like Red Tomb Mystic. I do really like Scroll Rack, but I think we have been a little greedy with our spells and need to take lands, and so I like Bane Veil over Coastal Peak.
Sounds great.
I think, for sure. All right, back to our pack 1, and we have Glasspole Mimic and Orvar that came back, as did Fiend Artisan and the Mycosynth Gardens, which we didn't mention as an option because there wasn't really a ton of upside for it, but now that it's left in the pack... I'm sorry, I was giving you one higher land count for the past couple packs, so we've had Engineered Explosive. So we are at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14... We are at 15 lands right now with... exactly 7 picks left.
Glasspole Mimic seems good.
Yeah, I like Glasspole Mimic too. That's a nice little safe card.
Oh, Scrap Trawler came back.
Scrap Trawler came back. So did Tarnished Citadel, which is a land. And if we're a Doomsday deck, it's a land that taps for black when we need it to.
That's true. It does, 3 damage to you?
For a color, or you can tap it colorless for free.
Do you like that card?
I do. I love it.
Okay.
It's cool.
And I'm sure the version that is in the cube looks better than that one, too.
Looks a lot better than that one.
Sure, Tarnished Citadel. I mean,
there's also Legion Leadership, which is a white tapped land.
That's true.
We do have Mana Confluence and Talon Gates of Madara to potentially cast the red side of it. I mean, this stuff does come up in this cube.
Sure.
To double the power of, I don't know, Swans of Bryn Argol and just hit your opponent.
I do kind of like that better than Tarnished Citadel.
Sure. I mean, Razorgrass Ambush is crazy to come back. That card's fantastic, I think. We do have a chroma. We haven't even been talking about all the things. We have a chroma here to put into play face down or put into play as a morph and then flip up with Gale Powder Mage. You do not need to be a red deck to play a chroma. We are the deck that is, I think, best equipped to play a chroma without red. We also have Mimic Vat. We could totally take a chroma, but
let's take a land.
But let's take a land. We got 4 picks left, and remember, we're only going to get 5 cuts here, so we're basically looking at our finished deck. We're not looking at our pool to make cuts from, really, because we already have Eater of Days, Swiftblade Vindicator in the sideboard, so we're probably going to play the card we take out of this pack, and it's either going to be Sundering Growth as a white destroy target artifact or enchantment with, I think, no upside in our deck. Do we make any tokens?
I don't think
we
so.
Make a
unless
Beckon
you want
Apparition
to count Mimic Vat token. Which...
Oh, I mean, no, I definitely do, for sure. That's actually great. Yeah, Mimic Vat tokens with Summoning Growth
do we get
incredible.
To keep the token? That is kind of cool.
Or off-color Cycling Land in Ring Slicked Copes, or half off-color Cycling Land in Ring Slicked Copes.
It's basically a cycling island, which is probably pretty good.
I mean, it's also green for our Engineered Explosives, or maybe one other thing, if I'm not mistaken. We didn't take the prismatic ending.
I think we still need to take the land.
All right, land. Now we're at the sort of point of finding out what we're going to be forced to sort of figure out something to play with, but we got a Vesuvian Shapeshifter, which I think is
not
great.
Nothing.
It's really actually quite strong. Ruin Ghost or Scrapyard Recombiner.
Gonna have to be reminded what a Ruin Ghost does.
Well, what it does is it flips up any of these creature MDFCs. It exiles a land and returns it to play under your control for white and tapping it.
Oh, and we can just repeat that.
You can do every turn. I mean, well, these come back as creatures, so once they're creatures, you can't flip them again.
Sure.
But you can play those MDFCs and then flip them up into a creature for that mana cost. Or Scrapyard Recombiner is a 3-mana modular 2/2 that you can sacrifice an artifact search library for a construct card, which can include Nameless Inversion.
And if we have another artifact creature, which is tough, we have a fair number of artifacts, but not really creatures.
Just Phyrexian Metamorph, I believe.
How about that Ruin Ghost?
All right, Ruin Ghost. And we get a last pick Slag Fiend, which we are not playing.
Great.
So this is our pool. We have 3 cards we have automatically cut as part of the draft, which is Swiftwave Vindicator, Eater of Days, and Slag Fiend. Do you want to reconsider Eater of Days?
I don't think so.
The only combo we have with it is Scroll of Fate. We have no way to tutor for either side, but we also do have Legion Leadership, so we can also just double its power and kill somebody in one turn. What do you think? What are your last two cuts?
We gotta make some cuts. I mean, I'm afraid of Doomsday. I don't really know how to play that card.
How about this? I'll talk through what I think are like the range of cuts.
Okay.
Then you make them, because I think you made final decisions here. In terms of range of cuts, I think there's a lot of cards that are underperforming. They're like ideal use case here.
Yeah.
Ingenious Myth, Ruin Ghost, Swans of Bryn, our goal. Even Hacken, we do not have that many discard outlets. So if we have Hacken, we have Mill It Over with Emery. We have discarded to Champion of Wits. We have put it into play with Scroll of Fate so that you didn't have to like worry about playing the casting cost. And we have Bone Shards. That, aside from discarding it to hand size with one of our bounce lands on turn 2 on the draw, are our only ways to bin Hacken. Otherwise, it is just a literal dead card in our hand that does nothing. So that's a consideration. I do think we're a decent Doomsday deck. I worry about hitting black in the early game. In terms of black sources, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 black sources, and that includes Talon Gates and Madara as a cycling or a filter land, which is not an ideal black source, obviously. So 8 black sources for a black card is kind of rough. That is honestly my biggest concern about Doomsday. I think we're a very good Doomsday deck once we resolve Doomsday. We're not a like fast combo Doomsday. We didn't get the Lion's Eye Diamond to activate Port of Carfel early, but we are like a mid-game, just win now Doomsday deck where we play it, pass the turn, and then untap and win most of the time with like multiple protection spells as backup.
Yeah, I think Hacken seems like a reasonable cut, which is a little sad, but... And what about Vesuvian Shapeshifter? Is that really worth it?
Well, so Vesuvian Shapeshifter does combo with Eater of Days, which we have got, because you can turn it into a copy of Eater of Days that will have haste because it's been in play, and then you can double the power with Legion Leadership and just kill your opponent out of nowhere.
Right, you can do those things if you draw those cards.
Yeah.
Which we will, for sure.
I think Vesuvian Shapeshifter will impress you as a, like, just generic, like, as its base rate. I think the Doomsday plan is better than most of our other plans. Like, I think the, grindy artifact deck, we is kind of only half here. The Hacken package is not even really half here. Like, we need more discard. Let's be really excited about that. So I think it's like probably cut the worst cards from those packages, and you're playing a control deck with a Doomsday win condition.
Yeah, I'm glad we got the Engineered Explosives.
We have a lot of removal.
Yeah.
Speller's Capsule, Executioner's Capsule, Bone Shards, Vengeful Dreams, Nameless Inversion, Engineered Explosives, Razorgrash Ambush, and then Waterlogged Teachings to find a big chunk of those. That's a lot of interaction. So that's going to do a pretty good job at slowing down our opponent.
All right, let's cut Hacken, and then we just need one more cut.
So I think you're looking at a pretty underwhelming Ruin Ghost and Ingenious Smith most of the time. I mean, the Swans, its base rate is just fine. Like, we're not doing any kind of combo with it. You might side it out if you see a lot of burn spells ahead of your opponent and it turns into just a card advantage engine for them. But right now it's a 4/3 that never dies in combat, which is pretty good. We do have, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 lands, including MDFCs right now. So you could also cut Legion Leadership.
Yeah, that's definitely the one that is least likely to be cast. Yeah, I'm good with that. Are you concerned about how many, so many of those are entering tapped? Does that worry you here?
I think that's par for the course. There's a lot of tap lands, and things are generally a little slow in the early game. How do you feel about this deck, Anthony?
I don't know. It is pulling in a couple different directions, and the Doomsday plan makes me a little bit nervous, but I guess I'd be excited to try and make that work.
You and I are not experienced Doomsday gamers, but I think this is an okay Doomsday deck. We needed more, there's no way for us to really, consistently Doomsday and then draw the card we put on top that turn. We're mostly casting the Doomsday and passing, which is not totally ideal, but I think we are passing and setting up a pretty good next turn. Ideally you want ways to, you could, for example, use Scrabbling Claws to draw the card you put on top with Doomsday, immediately. But mostly we're doing a Doomsday and pass situation. But I think we can set up pretty good Doomsday win conditions. And like I said, have a lot of removal. And then if you don't draw Doomsday, you're just a fair, grindy control deck, which I think has the tools to answer almost everything your opponents could throw at you. No stack interaction, but I think our suite of regular interaction will carry most of the time. And then we'll just grind people to dust with Mimic Vat and Scroll of Fate, probably.
Yeah, the Mimic Vat is probably what I'm most excited for here.
We did not end up with the, what did we take over the Iganjo? I thought we had that card, but I don't see it. What did we take on the wheel from our first pack?
There's no way to know.
Well, check the cards mention page. We're going to have the full draft visualized there to see what we took over Iganjo when it wheeled from our pack 1. It's escaping me right now what it was, but that would be another removal spell if we had access to it. We took Swans because we were staying mono blue and not committing to white, even though we ended up in white regardless. I would probably rather have Iganjo over Swans in this deck where we ended up, but
we didn't know.
We did our best at the time. I give this deck a B?
7? B.
I was going to say 7, and I was like, don't say 7. Everyone always says 7 in this for their deck. But I don't think this is an incredible deck.
Yeah.
I think this deck is maybe a solid 2-1 deck and could 3-0 if circumstances were right and you played really well, which means that, frankly, neither of us would have to be playing it. Give this deck to a really good player, and I think it could be a 3-0 deck, but it's going to hurt my brain a little bit. And yeah, this is the kind of deck that Max would win with, probably. But,
for sure.
But Max would also be playing 2 more colors somehow and figure out how to pull it all together.
And it would be better somehow.
Yeah.
In ways we don't understand.
Rainslick Copes is hiding in here. Do you want to play Legion Leadership over Rainslick Copes?
Sure, they're both one color, I guess.
The question is, would you rather have cycling or would you rather have until end of turn double target creature's power and toughness and it gains first strike?
It's an instant, right?
Yeah, it's an instant.
I do like to cheese people out with cards like that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a completely justifiable way to win a game in this cube, is just double your Swans and Bernard Gold's power, hit it for 8 in the air.
All right, let's do it.
Also, the first strike can matter with Swans because it will
prevent them from drawing a bunch of cards.
Prevent them from drawing cards if they manage to block with something. Yeah, the Rainslick Copes is hiding in there as a just tapped blue land with cycling 2. I think this is a very representative draft of what Take 5 is like. You could see all the sort of layers we had to think about in the draft of, okay, well, now we have Hacken. Do we want to take a bunch of discard outlets to make Hacken good? Now we have Emery Tameshi. Do we want to really prioritize cheap artifacts to make them a whole strategy? Now we got Doomsday. So now we're just going to kind of ignore those things a little bit. We're still forced to play them. This is very representative of the experience I want people to have drafting this cube, where we ended up with a cobbled together deck where we're doing 2/3 of 3 different, identities of decks, which is by design. It's really rare, I think, to get the nut Emery Tameshi small artifacts deck. It's possible, but mostly you're ending up kind of cobbling together multiple strategies just like we did here. So I think it's very representative draft of what this cube is like. I think a deck functions, and I'd be excited to play it.
Yeah, I think in particular, Tameshi and Emery are cards that I really enjoy playing with, but I often put them in decks that otherwise have mostly this is a fair proactive-ish plan, and they just don't really shine there. So I think putting in this control deck...
I'm going to move Emery back to the 3-drop slot because we did not end up with enough cheap artifacts to make this reliably cheaper.
There's a couple.
It could be in the 2-drop slot, maybe.
Perfect. That's where she belongs. But I think just planning for a longer game and just setting up for, I'm going to be able to use this a bunch turn over turn, I think is going to be a lot more fun.
We only have a couple self-sacrificing things in the form of Engineer Explosives and the 2 capsules, or Scrabbling Claws. There was 4 things.
Yeah, we got a bunch.
But just being able to buy back Metamorph, Mimic Vat, and Scroll of Fate is a reasonable use case for Emery, I think, in this context. That's Take 5. Let us know in the comments here on YouTube or in Spotify or in the Discord what you did in this same seat. I would not be surprised if some people drafted just entirely different decks with no color overlap and basically no pick the same as us, because I don't think in our first couple picks there was a lot of obvious stuff. The most obvious thing I felt was whenever we got pick 5 or whatever, Scroll of Fate. If you had the chance to do that, you should have done that, no matter what your deck was doing. That is the only thing I feel strongly about. Otherwise, I think there's a lot of room for expression of the drafter in this particular seat of this pod.
It's a lot less okay, we're opening up a pack of the Vintage Cube, and there are two clear choices.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of those. Like, really, you could have gone in so many different directions.
Which is ironic because it's a cube where the power level is not even close to flat, but the cards are weird enough and the synergies matter enough that, like...
Yeah, like, you just... hacking is kind of crazy, but only if you can really turn it on.
Someone could have done this exact draft and made the exact same choices up until the point we took Hacken, and then as soon as they took Hacken, they might have been like, I am now a Hacken deck, and drafted completely differently, and ended up with still a very different deck at the end, because they would have prioritized black much more heavily, discard outlets much more heavily, and, like, that could be a much better deck for all I know. So show off your decks in the comments, and let's chat about what to do in this seat. That's the end of this episode of Luck of Paper Raider. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. All the music for this show is produced by DJ James Nasty, and the show is edited by Matthew. All the Magic cards are produced by Wizards of the Coast, and this podcast is produced by Thinking Really Hard About Magic Cards and Speaking to Microphones About It. Anthony, thank you for spending over an hour talking about one draft of my newest cube.
Thanks for building a cool cube. I'm looking forward to drafting again and hopefully doing a little better. I got kind of stumped.
It's a freaky little guy. Here's the much better Tarnished Citadel. That's what you want Tarnished Citadel to look like.
I mean, honestly, it's a card that looks so cool. I don't even know what's going on here. It's like a TV screen on a mountain, but in a way that so appeals to me.
It is so cool. It doesn't just look so cool.
Oh, I probably put this in like a Darien King of Kajeldor commander deck at some point.
Yes, you did.